Fine. So welcome to the training, and I'll start the course with a brief about Selenium, that what exactly is Selenium, right? Most of you would be knowing that it's an automation testing tool, right? But it is primarily used for web-based applications only. Selenium can only automate your web-based applications. It cannot automate your desktop applications. Fine. Now, first, the next question is why Selenium? Why do we use Selenium? Why do we use automation? Okay, why automation is so famous, right? Look, the thing is, during the regression testing, if you have done the manual testing, you must be knowing the regression phase, right? It becomes too monotonous to test a website again and again when you know that things are stable on it. Okay, they will be working fine. Okay, so we use an automation testing tool like Selenium or QTP, any tool which can automate your test cases in order to save time and effort. All right, fine. But to learn this tool, to learn Selenium, you need to learn programming language and all. Okay, look, the thing is giving you a brief history of Selenium. Okay, initially there were three components in Selenium: Selenium IDE, Selenium GRID, and Selenium RC. These were the three components of Selenium when Selenium came into the market on the very first time. For the very first time, Selenium IDE is a tool which primarily works on Mozilla. Okay, right? IDE is a tool which will work on Mozilla. It's primarily a record and run tool. You can record something on this tool, right? And you can run it back. Okay, it will repeat the steps whatever you had recorded. All right, but IDE has a major disadvantage that first of all it only runs on Mozilla, right? Secondly, you don't get any kind of report with it. When you run your scripts with IDE, okay, you have no reports being generated, and it's not a very professional or a very stable kind of a tool. Fine. So people, they started using RC. In RC, you had, as a programmer, you had to learn a language like Java, C Sharp, Ruby, PHP, Perl, Python. It's available with many languages. Any one of the languages you had to learn, and you could use Selenium RC code. But as a tester, it's very tough to learn a programming language. But yes, that's one of the things, right? But you cannot run away from it. Look, primarily, most of the people, they use Selenium with Java. Okay, 70 to 80% of the industry is using Selenium with Java. And if you learn Java, it's not that just learning Selenium will help you. Okay, you can learn, say tomorrow if you want to learn SOAP UI, it's another tool for web service automation, right? If you want to learn a tool like JMeter, which is a load testing tool, okay, then knowledge of Java will also help you over there. So there is no running away from Java if you want to enter the world of automation or load testing or web services testing. It will always help you. It's just not restricted to Selenium. Right. So Selenium RC was dynamic in nature. It could generate better reports. It could work on multiple browsers. Right. But you had to learn a programming language. Fine. So I show offline. I'm online now. Okay. I'm online now on Skype. Right. So right. So IDE is not a very preferred tool. Okay, people who don't know programming, they are very fascinated with IDE and they start working with it, but they end up falling into a lot of troubles. And Selenium GRID was a tool which could parallelly run your test cases across multiple machines. Look, Selenium GRID helps you to save time. That's it. If you have got 10,000 test cases, right? You distributed 10,000 test cases in 10 machines, right? And you can execute them parallelly, thus saving time. Okay, that's the only thing. Okay, now Selenium RC, people realized that it had major drawbacks. Okay, I cannot talk about the drawbacks now because most of you will not be able to understand. Okay, for example, there used to be a server in Selenium RC which you used to start from command prompt. You used to open command prompt, Selenium RC, start the Selenium RC server. Sometimes the server never used to start, so people used to end up closing Eclipse, logging off the system, logging in back. So it was a very time consuming and a very frustrating kind of a thing. Right. So Selenium WebDriver came into the market. It came in August 2011. It's known as Selenium 2.0. Okay, it was not that RC was migrated to WebDriver. This was not the case. Both the tools are different. If you learn Selenium WebDriver, it is not necessary to learn RC. After learning WebDriver, if you read the RC code, you will not be able to understand it. This is a different tool. RC WebDriver is a different tool altogether. Okay, right. These days IDE is still there. The versions have changed. Okay, right. And for grid, please turn off your cameras if you have turned them on. It occupies a lot of bandwidth. Okay. For grid, you can actually say that grid 2 has come up in the market, which supports WebDriver as well as the support for RC as well there. Okay, fine. So what we will be covering in the course is primarily the latest things, WebDriver and grid. We will not be covering IDE. I'll give you the pre-recorded sessions, right? And IDE will be there in it. Okay. So anybody with any questions? Anyone? Anyone? Akshay, I think your camera is on. Just check it once. No questions? Right? So fine, let's move forward. Okay, we will start with the concept of Java. Now you cannot run away from Java, that is for sure. Okay, and as I told you, Java will also help you in other tools as well, learning other tools as well. No, I will not be teaching RC. RC is not used by the companies. Okay, the question being asked is whether I'll be using RC or not. It's not used. Okay, right. So it's another question being asked is, so it's required to refer videos before we can understand it better depending on the course. Yes, if you can before the class, it will definitely help you out. Okay, right. And most of the people coming to this training are the ones who have already taken the videos and they will to attend the class later on, just paying the difference amount. So anyways, it's completely your choice. Okay. Now, to learn Java, you need to learn core Java. Okay, and the first thing to learn Java is you need to install JDK. Everybody has a 64-bit machine these days. Sorry. Right. What you need to do is that you need to go to Google and type download JDK. Okay, Java Development Kit. This is the complete JDK. Go to the first thing, Oracle one, and click here, JDK, download it, right, and use this one, Java ST Development Kit 8U60. You accept the license and download it for your Windows. Install JDK from here. Okay, once you have installed JDK, if you go to your C drive, program files, under the folder Java, you will find JDK present. Okay, that means JDK folder present. That means the complete Java Development Kit has been installed. Okay. Yes, the compatibility for Windows 10 is there for Selenium. Look, for Selenium, if you're using with Java, there is no issue of compatibility. Java is a platform independent language. It doesn't matter if you are using Linux, if you are using Unix, if you are using Windows 7, 10, XP, anything. Selenium, that is one of the advantages of this tool. It can run on any platform, Mac, fine. If you talk about a tool like a QTP, then primarily if it is restricted to Windows. Okay, so that is also one of the reasons why Selenium with Java is so famous. Okay, you can work on it on multiple operating systems to carry out the testing. Fine, and that's what we do. When we do Selenium GRID, we have a central machine which is connected to multiple machines on which the test cases they run. Okay, parallelly. So probably this can be your Linux machine, this can be your Windows machine. You can run it on parallelly on different operating systems as well. Okay, right. So Windows 10 is inherently supported. The day it came up, it was supported. But yes, Eclipse was giving issues. Eclipse is an editor for Java language. Right. Once you have installed JDK, the next thing which you need to do is that you need to download Eclipse. Eclipse is an editor for Java language, and uh, hold on. You can download the Eclipse from this link, Eclipse downloads. All right. Hold on. Right. And you can download the Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. You can download this 62-bit or 32-bit, whatever your convenience is. Fine. And like on my machine, it is lying over here. Right. Once you install Eclipse, okay, it comes as a folder like this. You don't need to install it. If you extract it, you'll be able to download the zip file. Once you extract the zip file, you will get this Eclipse folder. Inside it, you will find eclipse.exe file. Fine. You run this exe file and Eclipse will start up. Okay, this is your workspace path. Many of you will be knowing these things. I'm starting from the very basics. Okay, gradually I will run over to Selenium. Just be with me. Okay, so this is your workspace path, the path where you will be storing all the projects and all whatever you are going to make in Java and Selenium. Okay, so I will write over here the name of your batch. Okay, and start Eclipse. Hold on, let it start. Okay, right. So this is the welcome screen of Eclipse. You can close it. Fine. And now the next thing is you need to make a new Java project. Okay, right. So first of all, in Eclipse, this is the area where you will be storing the projects. Okay, this is the area where you will be writing the code and all everything. And in the bottom area, you will be getting the output. Okay, this is known as a project explorer on the left hand side. Right, you can make projects over here. I'll make a new project. You go to file, new, other, and you can select under, hold on, under Java. Just a minute, file new project, sorry, not the other, file new project. Okay, or you can right click on the blank space and new project. That's how I do always. Right click, new project. Okay, and you can select a Java project. Fine, click on next and finish. You name the project as, I'll name it as day 1. Yes, Eclipse will now work on Windows 10. Initially it was giving issues, but now it works perfectly fine. Okay, everything is supported on Windows 10 right now. Okay, initially it was giving issues. right? So this is day one project. If you expand this, it will have the source folder. Okay, right. In the source folder, we will be making the Java files and all. Right. If I right click on this source folder, I'll get the option new class. Okay, you can create a new class over here. Fine, and I can call it as, say, sample with this checkbox, public static void main. Check this checkbox. Okay, and finish. So this is your first Java class, Java file, which has been created, sample.java. Okay, let me increase the font size. Just a minute. Okay, this is the sample.java file which I have made. Fine, it's got the main function in it. Okay, main function is the starting function for any uh, programming language. If you have done C language, then there's also a main function over there. Okay, what is static, what is public, we'll talk about all of them. Okay, you have to accept few things as they are. Okay, because if I start explaining you everything right now, it will not make any sense. Okay, main function is the function in which the control comes up for the first time. For example, inside it, if I write system.out.println, this is the command to print anything in Java. Okay, so if I write over here, learning Selenium with Java. Okay, and when you run this, it prints learning Selenium with Java. Okay, so this is my sample class. Okay, this sample class can be executed and it will print something. You can run it from this icon. This is the icon over here with which you can run it, or you can right click on the Java file and you can select run as Java application. Fine. All right. System.out.println is used to print something. The shortcut is to type SYSO and hit Control space bar of your keyboard. Okay, it will come up like this. Okay, now I am assuming, again I repeat, I am assuming you know what if statement is, what while loop is, what for loop is, okay, what a function is. Fine, because what I am going to concentrate is, I am going to concentrate on the concepts of OOPS, object oriented programming. Look, this is where people actually they go wrong. Okay, they think that they know Java, they know concepts of OOPS just because they have read a book. Okay, it's not going to help you like that. You need to know the concepts of object-oriented programming in a practical manner, because Selenium, the complete API of Selenium is object-oriented in nature. Okay, for example, if you go to the official website of Selenium, alright, if I go to seleniumhq.org, if I go here, then first of all, the first line is Selenium automates browsers. That it is an application only made for browsers, right? And then you click on the download link out here. You will have the downloads available. Fine. Out here, you will have the Java doc link. Okay, this is the documentation of Selenium. Fine. If you go to this Java doc link, you will find all the classes and all the things over here. This is documentation of Selenium. You will not be able to understand this documentation until or unless you are aware of the concepts of object-oriented programming language. Okay, you need to learn object-oriented programming. Only after that you can understand this. Fine. Now, to help you learn the concepts of OOPS, fine. First of all, let me tell you about simple things. For example, this is the project which we made. Okay, if I right click on this project, I will get lot of options which we will be using during the training. Okay, I just told you about one option, run as Java application. This project will run as Java application, right? Fine. If I go to the properties, hold on. Yeah, if I go to the properties of this project, fine, you will see different types of options over here which we'll be using during the training. Okay, one of the options is Java build path. Okay, we will be using this. I'm just telling you that these things they exist. Okay, if you want to know the location of your project on the hard drive, you can go to the resources section. This is the location of the project on your hard drive. Okay, you can copy it and you can reach that location. You'll get the source folder which is there inside Eclipse. Under source you will have sample.java which you can open in a notepad as well. Okay, right. Now along with the source folder there are other folders and files which are actually not visible inside Eclipse. Okay, there is a folder known as bin folder which stores sample.class file. Now what is this class file? Every Java file when it is compiled it gets converted to a class file. Okay, this is the Java file. Fine, if I make another Java file, say I make a new class known as test.java. Okay, and inside it I'll just type system.out.println testing. Okay, when I run this, it prints testing in console, right? And if I look at the bin folder, see test.class file, the corresponding test.class file, you will be able to see inside the bin folder. Okay, right? Corresponding to corresponding to test.java, you will have test.class file. So every Java file is converted to a class file. What does this class file means? If I open this class file in say a text pad, you will not be able to understand it. It's got machine language. Sorry. It's not binary. It's not 1010. It is machine language. Fine. So the test.class file is a file, or sample.class file is a compiled file. What the advantage is that this file is like these files are like exe files. You can put them on any operating system and they will run. They will execute the project. Okay, whether it's Windows, Linux, any OS. And that's what we do when we deliver to our clients. We deliver these class files. Okay, but you know, it's not delivered directly like this. Okay, in a project, you know, in a big project, you cannot expect only 2 class files to be made. There are hundreds of class files, thousands of class files in a project. When you actually make a commercial project, which you do in companies and all, okay, those are not small projects. They are huge projects which have got thousands of class files generated. Okay, so if you want to actually deliver these class files to the client, or if you want to deploy them, right, how will you do that? Okay, so what we do is that if in a project we have got multiple class files, okay, we put all those class files in a single file. Okay, and that single file is known as a jar file. Okay, and jar file is something which is given to the client. When you say that fine deployment is going on the server, it's actually, you can say it's actually the jar files they are getting deployed on the server. Okay, jar file is like a zip file. Okay, you keep all the classes inside it and you can move it here and there. Okay, right. So for example, in your project you will see GRE system library. Okay, right. And this GRE system library is nothing but Java which is installed on your system. Okay, it's got nothing but the various jar files of Java which came up onto your system when you installed Java. For example, this is one of the jar files. If you expand it, you will see lot of class files under this jar file. Okay, lot of class files are under this jar file. Okay, each class file has got its own relevance. For example, just giving you a simple example. Okay, if I write over here system.out.println new date. Okay, I'll just import date. What is new? Don't worry about that. Okay, I just written over here new date. Date is one of the class files which is present inside these. I don't know where it is present, but I know that there is a date class which is present inside one of these jar files. Okay, and when I run this code, it prints the current date, time, month, and all everything. Okay, fine. So how does this date class work? You actually don't know. Somebody has made it for you. Okay, somebody who made Java has given this date file to you. Okay, it may be present somewhere. Date.class file will be present. Dot class, I'm saying, will be present somewhere inside these jars. Okay, right. You can find it out. That's very easy. Right. You can click on this icon, link with editor. Do you see this yellow icon? You click on this and then hold the control button of the keyboard. Hold it. Move your mouse over date. It will link. It will look like a link. Fine. And you click on it. Keep the control button pressed. Okay. And click on it. You will see that this kind of screen will appear and date.class file will be highlighted on the left hand side. Okay, right. So this is date.class file. Okay, so similarly in Selenium also, everything is inbuilt. It's not a rocket science where you'll have to do all the coding and all everything. Okay, you just need to download the jar files of Selenium. Like you have got the jar files of Java in your current project. Okay, so your project is Java enabled, right? Okay, now you can download the jar files of Selenium also in the current project. Okay, to do that, you need to move to the website of seleniumhq.org. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, you move to this page, go to the download section. Okay, right. Go to the download section and you will see for Java, this is the download link. Okay, I'm just telling you how to download and configure Selenium inside Eclipse. Okay, fine. I'm just telling you how to download and configure Selenium inside Eclipse. Okay, it's not an exe. Selenium has got no exe. Fine. If you actually go over here, you will get a folder like this. Inside it, you will have these things present when you click on download Selenium link. Okay, you will have few jar files over here. These are the two jar files. The current version is 2.47.1. Okay, right. And you will have the library folder in which you will have the other jar files. So these are all the jar files of Selenium. You need to put these jar files inside Eclipse and then your project will be Selenium enabled. Okay, right. For example, Like, and one more thing. This is the sources jar file. You don't need this. You can also delete it. This has got the source code of Selenium. Selenium is an open source tool. The source code of Selenium is available openly to everyone so that you can do any changes to this. But as you will not use it when you are learning, you can right click on it. You can extract this folder. Okay. You will get this folder inside it. You will see the Java files and all for Selenium, they'll be present, but you actually don't need it. Fine. All you need is you need this jar and the jars under the library folder. Okay. So what you need to do is that to make your project Selenium enabled, you need to right click on the project and go to the properties again. Fine. And you need to go to Java build path option. Over here, you will have 4 tabs. Okay, you have to go under the libraries tab. Right now, Java libraries are added into the project. Okay, you can add other libraries as well. You can add other jar files. There's a button, add external jars. Fine, you click on it. Go to the location where you have Selenium. Add this jar file. And don't forget to add the jar files under lib. Many times people, they just import one jar file, that's it. No, you need to add the jar files under lib as well. Fine. Okay. Right. And then click on OK. So you will have the reference library section generated. Under it, you will have the Selenium jar files. If you don't have this section generated, then you need to switch to the Java view. Okay. If you have something like this coming up, then also it's okay. That means you are in the Java EE view. In Eclipse, there are views, Java EE view, Java view. Okay. And there are other views as well. These are known as perspectives. You can click on this icon. There will be a lot of perspectives in Java. When we work with Selenium, okay, with Eclipse, we work with the Java perspective. Okay, so make sure you are in Java perspective. You will have reference libraries over here. So these are the jar files of Selenium. Inside these jar files, various class files are present which you will be using. For example, if I just write over here new Firefox driver. What is Firefox driver? It is one of the classes in Selenium which is actually used to work on Firefox browser. You need to import it. Okay, you move your mouse and import it. When I write new Firefox driver, okay, right, and when I run this code, a new Firefox browser will open up. Fine. Okay. Now you don't know how this opened up. You just wrote this command. What is new? I'll tell you in some time. Okay, when I start with the concepts of object-oriented programming. Okay, what I want to tell you primarily is that don't try to directly work on Selenium. Learn OOPS first. Okay, and secondly, everything in Selenium is inbuilt. It's not a rocket science. I am using this inbuilt Firefox driver class. Okay, right. Hold on, I'll come over to all the browsers. Just be with me. Chrome, Safari, IE, how to work with them. I'll tell you. Okay, so the first thing in front of us, or the first objective in front of us, is now to learn about the concepts of object-oriented programming. Fine. So to start with it, right, we'll see what an object is. Okay, to start with it, we'll see what an object is. For example, I'll create a new class over here. Fine. I'll name it, I'll get a very simple class. Okay, for example, a class like car. Okay, and inside it, I'll declare a variable string name. I'm assuming you know what a string is. Okay, right, string name. So there is a class car which has a parameter name inside it. Okay, so inside the test class, okay, I'll comment out these lines. Double slash means commenting. Okay, the double slash will disable these lines. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create object of car class. Okay, how do you create? You write over here new car. This means that you are creating the object of this class. Now, what do you mean? What practically happens behind the scenes inside the memory when you create the object of the car class? Right? What do you mean by this? Behind the scenes, the object of the car class is made, fine, and it's got a variable known as name stored inside it. Okay, right. But this object cannot be accessed. To access this object, if I write 2 times, then 2 objects will be created in the memory, each having the variable name. Okay, right. I can write over here, say car C1 equals to new car and car C2 equals to new car. So C1 and C2 will be counted as the object references to these objects. This is C1, this is C2. With C1 and C2, you can change the state of the objects. C1 and C2 are not objects, they are object references. I can write over here C1 dot, I will get the option name. Name is say car A, and C2 dot name is car B. Name is one variable. It is inside the car class, that's it, but every object which you create can have a different name. Okay, so what happens is that this becomes A and this becomes B, and the references they point to towards the objects. If I write over here system.out.println C1.name and C2.name and run this code, very simple, it will print A and B. Now, if I write C1 equals to C2 and print this thing, what will this print? What will this print? By writing C1 equals to C2, okay, practically I am saying that C1 will no longer point towards this object. C1 will start pointing towards the place, the object which is represented by C2. So C1 and C2 will both point towards this object. So this will print B. If I run this, hold on, I'll just print a demarcation line, and if I run this, this will print B. Okay, objects are there in the memory, they stay there. Okay, object will always stay at its location, but the references, they can move from one object to another. Okay, now C1 and C2 both can change the state of the object. Okay, if I write C1 dot name is C. Okay, and if I print it again, C1 dot name will also print C and C2 dot name will also print C. If I run this code, you see that? Okay. So this is what objects are. These are what objects are. Objects are something which actually you can say uh, they they represent the variables in a class. In a class, you have got variables. Those variables are the part of the object. Okay, and you can assign this variable a different value for every object. Object and object reference is different. C1 is object reference and this is the object. C1 is pointing towards it. I can also write like this, say car C3 equals to null. Null means that C3 is not pointing anywhere in the memory. And on the next line, I can equate C3 to say C2. So C3 will start pointing towards the object which is represented by C2, or C3 equals to new car. So this will start pointing towards a new object. Okay, right. So this is a simplest form of example for an object. Okay, right. And this variable over here is known as a non-static variable. All right, fine. There are static variables also. Fine. For example, if I write static int wheels, this is known as a static variable. Now, what is the difference between non-static and static variable in Java? These things are required for Selenium because these are the things which actually people don't know, and when they actually start to build a project, here is the place where they get stuck. They don't know what static is, what non-static is. Okay, right. So, sorry. Now, static is something which is common for all the objects. Like, for example, if I don't make wheels static, I make it non-static. Okay. In this case, whatever car object I am creating, C1, C2, C3, I will have to initialize the wheels. Say C1 dot wheels are 4, C2 dot wheels are 4, C3 dot wheels are 4. So in the memory, okay, in the memory, just a minute, you will have 3 objects. Okay, and C1, C2, C3 will point towards all the 3 objects. All the 3 objects will have wheel and name. All the 3 objects will have number of wheels as 4. It doesn't make sense. I know that whenever I'm going to create the object for any car, the number of wheels are going to be 4. So why should I store the wheel variable inside every object when the value is same for all the objects? So we make it static in nature. By making it static, okay, we are removing the wheel variable from this object, and wheel will now reside in a common location in the memory. Okay, it will no longer be the part of the object, and to access this static variable, you don't need to create the object of the class. You can directly write over here the name of the class car dot, you will get the option wheels equals to 4. So for all the objects, okay, the number of wheels will be 4. Okay, static int wheels, right? So you don't need to put it like this. Okay, you don't need to put it like this. Sorry, initialize separate object. Okay, just you can directly access it with the name of the class. Okay, so static stuff can be accessed directly with the name of the class. Alright. For the non-static stuff, you have to create the object and access it. I cannot say that car.name equals to A. It will not accept this. It will give me an error. Because name is a non-static variable. To access non-static, you have to create the object of the class and you have to access it with the object, because non-static will reside in the object. Static will reside outside the object at a common location. So you can access it with the name of the class. There is no object creation required. It's something which is common for all the objects. Did you understand my point? Right? Okay. Like Firefox driver, I told you, is a class in Selenium for Firefox. If I write Firefox driver dot, you will see many static components in this class. I'll not talk about them, but I'm just telling you. By creating the object of this class, you are able to open the browser. Okay. Right. If I create the object of this class like this, Firefox driver f1 equals to new Firefox driver. So f1 will point towards the object of Firefox driver in the memory. With f1, I can access all the, preferably the non-static properties of this browser. For example, there is a non-static function or something. Right, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I'm just giving you an example over here. That what do you mean by creating an object? Okay, right.